Greetings, citizens from rolling hills of the bluegrass. So I wanted to touch upon something that kind of developed over the last 2 months. Sometimes an observation just takes someone pointing it out. Something where people can go, oh yeah, that is true. That's a good point. Thank you for showing us that. And by drawing attention to it, it makes you sound like you're trying to, hey, look, I was the first one that did this. And maybe I was, maybe I'm not, because I believe, there's 7 billion people on the planet. There's probably at least several hundred million that have seen the things that I see. But then the question becomes, well, how many of those 100 million that are out there that see what I see actually said something about it? And what I'm getting at is that idea of living your values. Right? This has come to the forefront, really, to me, in the last couple of weeks since I made this little post on a video. And you see it sprouting up and popping up all over the place, where it becomes a question of what is actually being done. What are you doing to live your values that you espouse in your day-to-day life? And this has implications across everything: religious values, non-religious values, secularism. Are you doing the things that you're preaching? Which is where most people then, well, if you're not, then you're a hypocrite. And as I've said before, hypocrisy has never stopped anybody from advancing their position. It just doesn't. The accusation of hypocrisy or double standards, it's unfortunately, it's never truly panned out the way we would hope it would. Because basically what it's saying is, I'm calling you to the mat. I'm saying you need to show us that you are practicing what you preach. And if you're not, then what's the value of anything that you have to say when it comes to any kind of policy? If you are in no way achieving the goals that you're setting, that's understandable, because a lot of times we fail. But if you're not even moving in that direction, if you're not even facing that northern star, then why should I take you seriously? Why should anyone take you seriously? Even the people that would agree with you on your side of the board. Why should we even give a thought to what you believe? And the reason why this comes up is because a lot of people have been questioning these young socialists, the ones that are, on what they call bread tube. Is because we have a lot of them making an exorbitant amount of money. And it's not the money that's the problem. It's not the making of the money, it's the problem. The problem is the espousing of the things that would take that money away. They say we want 60, 70, 80, 90% taxation rate on the 1%. Well, if I understand the 1% correctly, that's people making what, $450,000 a year and up? Would they impose a 60% tax rate on themselves if they were in the position to do so? Would they do that? Is the question. Just 60%. I'm not even going upwards to the 80 or the 90 that some have proposed. But even just half. Would you give half? You make $450,000 a year. Would you give half of that as taxes after doing what you've done? If they say yes, then they're living their values right there. They show that they are willing to abide by the rules that they are laying out for everyone else. If they're not, then you can kind of start questioning if any of this is actually really about socialism or whatever political bent they're pushing. And I wrote a post, little comment on the other website about a video from Dr. Brett Weinstein. He's speaking with a gentleman named Jeremy Lee Quinn. This was done on December 17th, 2020. And they were talking about BLM, and Dr. Weinstein brought up the idea that BLM is a socialist or Marxist institution. And he's going through and he's laying it out. And then Mr. Quinn pushes back and states that he really doesn't believe or understand where that came from. He said that he had seen some interviews and everything and that it was taken out of context. And he's like, he points out that these leaders of the BLM, they're actually very entrepreneurial, very capitalistic in how they're going about doing things. You know, they're touring the country, they've got books coming out, they're making money. And he's like, I don't really see this claim of Marxism that people are issuing against them. And again, Dr. Weinstein states, well, they've said it in interviews. And my post links back to Eric Weinstein, Brett Weinstein's brother, when he was on a podcast with Lex Fridman. And there's a point, and I'll put it down in the description, where Eric talks about money with Lex, because Lex is talking about how he would like to give away everything that he has as much as he can. And Eric stops him and is like, look, don't do that. Don't do that. Because you need to be able to take care of yourself. You need to be in a position where you don't have to worry about that kind of money, because then you will be able to focus on doing the things in life that you want to see done. Because if you have that in the back of your mind constantly gnawing at you that, you know, oh, what am I going to do next month with this? And how am I going to pay for that? How am I going to pay for that? You immediately wipe that worry off the table when you put the money question to rest. So the post goes like this. This is in response to Mr. Quinn's question about, is BLM really Marxist? Your brother, Dr. Weinstein, gave some advice in his last interview with Lex Fridman. Get the money. There are many young, self-admitted socialists on this very platform, the other website, making a lot of money espousing any and all variants of socialism, but they are all doing it the same way, the capitalist way. Get the money you need to survive, to push the revolution later. That your guest cannot see this is a bit mystifying. There are countless interviews on this website where the BLM founders talk at length about their goals. Don't assume. They're telling you. Listen to them, and they will tell you what they believe. And this is precisely the whole point of this, you know, is pointing this out. You have people espousing a set of beliefs, operating inside of a system that they despise. Okay, so you can understand that. Because in the end, we all got to eat. We got to keep the lights on. We got to pay the insurance. We've got to do the things that normally occur inside of this system. But they're accruing all of this capital These socialists are accruing capital. But what's being done with it? Where's it going? What causes is it being put towards? And it's not manifesting itself in any way, shape, or form that I can see. There's a few here and there. Names will be omitted. There's a few here and there that are truly putting their money where their beliefs are. But the majority of them, they're not. But a part of me, right? The libertarian part of me, all of me maybe, is in part, hey, kind of impressed with them. Go for it. Get what you want. Because I hope maybe once they see what all of this does, and once they actually start applying that money to their causes, they're going to go, but if I do that, I'm not going to have this. I'm not going to get to keep these things in order to just maintain my life where I am right now. I don't think it'll happen, but I hope it will. I hope it will click for them that the policies they're pushing would hamper their own lives. It would stop them from being able to live the life that they're living right now. Now, is it youthful hubris? Probably. Is it young people living in a time of plenty, for the lack of a better word? Because right now, this whole thing, me talking into a microphone, this is it for a lot of people. This is where they're going to make their living. And what happens whenever they come and take 50% of that? 60, 70. How are you going to guarantee that those things that money is taken away from her, is that money is actually going to it? And that's the whole thing with, what was it, Nicole Arbor, for all of her, craziness that she's done, pointed this out just yesterday. Or a couple of days ago, I can't quite remember. That all of this money that's been raised by BLM has gone to nothing in the black communities. It's gone to the organization of BLM and the people within it. But it's not gone out into the wider black community, the very community that BLM stands to represent. It's gone internally. Okay, I understand operation costs and, campaigning and get people out there and doing things and whatnot. But if they're a nonprofit, it can't go anywhere. So Miss Arbor's critique is apt, but it may just be illegal for them to do anything with it in that regard. They may be constrained by the form of charity or nonprofit that they organized under. Which is another crazy thing. That a nonprofit cannot help the people that it's meant to help. It's whether by choice or by legality. Who knows? But this living out your beliefs has been brought into question by me from someone else. And it's like, what are you doing to live out your libertarian ideals? And the retort that I came back with was primarily what I said in my beginnings, my origin video. Leave people alone. Do your life and let other people do theirs. And apparently that's not enough. Apparently it's just not enough to leave people alone. And we all know about the nosy neighbor who can't help but get in your business every time you're out in the front yard or you're in your backyard, and there they are looking over the fence or looking through a window. And it's like, I could be employed right now, which reveals something, right? But because I won't push credit cards, it makes it very hard to get a retail job. Because by God, if you don't want to push credit cards, you cannot work in retail. Really, at any level. I won't push products that I don't believe in. I won't lie for other people. I won't make excuses. My last good paying job, which I wish I still had, I left because there was a change in policy and I had to start making excuses for other people's bad decisions, for other people's lack of living up to their own supposed beliefs. I would then have to lie to their customers, knowing full well what is going on behind the scenes, but then I had to make up an excuse in order to cover for their poor customer service. And I wouldn't do it. So that means I don't get to have a job there anymore. I don't get to earn a wage, a living, because I wouldn't lie for people. Companies. Companies that are funded by your tax dollars. By your Social Security money that you put in every time you draw a wage and a paycheck. These people get to take that money from the oldest among us and then give substandard customer service, and then I have to lie about it. I have to push credit cards, and one of the things that you're told to do is to go after people who don't really speak English that well, because maybe they don't really understand what you're getting them into. So in essence, it's really hard for me to work in this kind of economy because I have standards. And those standards are at times at odds with people. And the thing is, I could have fought it, but that's their business. The people that employed me. That's their job. And they're not going to change for me. And I don't expect them to change for me. That is the height of selfishness there. I expect you to operate under my level of morality, but I don't operate under myself.